Good evening. Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports Exhorted. Mr. Logical
You're
2-5. Tonight, I just want everyone to know Sports Reports is ordered, sponsored Pittsburgh Pirates are now in first place, 7 games in a row, 16-7. Yes, that is a better record than the Atlanta Braves, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Diego Padres. Just throwing that out there.
Shout out to Pittsburgh. Great city. Great city. Check it out. I'm telling you, check it out. The gym of the Midwest.
Tonight, we're going to get into what is a king to a tank. All it takes is one shot to deliver to make that body quiver. We're going to talk about more playoff reactions because now we got some game 4s going on tonight. Jimmy Butler is lighting it up, but the rest of the team leaving them hanging. But we're going to get into that. What causes suspensions in the NBA? Because we saw Draymond Green get suspended, but then I saw Joel Embiid do some crazy shit. I saw James Harden get ejected.
What you got to do, Joe? Come on, Mr. Dumars. What's up?
Yeah, I didn't see Dylan Brooks, you know what I'm saying, attack the crown jewels, I guess. You know what I mean? And didn't get suspended. But DeJounte Murray got suspended for bumping into that ref when I saw Jason Tatum push a ref in the same game. And guess what, folks? Ime Udoka is back. He's in Houston. Is that going to cause James Harden to come back?
How's your wife? How's your wife?
How's your wife? And then finally, we're going to cap it off with some fun, interesting NFL draft rumors that we have heard. And then, of course, get it off my chest. So, Mr. Logical, what's happening up in New Jerusalem?
I'm listening, man. I'm just trying to figure out, like, remember how the NFL, we still trying to figure out what's the catch. We're still trying to figure out what's suspension worthy. Because you talk about pushing refs. Hachimura pushed the ref in the Memphis game, in the Memphis Lakers game 3 game. I mean, depending what angle you're looking at, it was a situation where the ref jumped in between him and one of the role players from
Roddy.
So he jumped in between them. So I think it might have been maybe instinctive. Like, no, hold on, I'm trying to get the dude, and I can kind of get that. I wouldn't want to get him suspended, but I mean, what is it? Contact? Is it contact? But whatever. Like, like I said, is it a catch? Did Dez catch it? Did he drop it? Like, I mean, what's the catch? What's the penalty?
I do have another question.
What's going on?
I do have another question. So is the thought that Aaron Rodgers is going to win the Super Bowl because he don't have to go through the 49ers anymore?
Nah, he still got to perform in the playoffs. That's his Achilles heel. The 49ers have just been the latest piece. They just the latest stitch that didn't heal. The dude can't perform in January, man. It just...
The last time that dude won a Super Bowl, I was in like year 11 of my 22-year military career.
Retired, dog. Disability checks coming in. That's how long it's been.
Just saying.
I was doing homework on Sunday night of my bachelor's degree.
So, Raph, Ryan Garcia, where did it all go wrong?
You know what? I'm going to tell you exactly where it went wrong. Something I like to do now, something I picked up from Shannon Sharp, is I like to watch games in silence. I watch with the volume turned all the way down. Like, even now, I got the highlights in the background. I don't
have to hear about LeBron during other games.
Yo, I mean, they do bring him up a lot.
Or
like
Dick Vitale, you could be watching Kansas against Iowa State, and out of the blue, he'll be like, "Let me tell you about the Dukies, baby."
Yeah, exactly. Just how you brought up LeBron out of nowhere. And I'm talking about. So, but I watched the fight. I had it on my laptop, and I had I think I had the basketball game going on at the same time. I had something going on the iPad. I think it might have been basketball. It was kind of late. I can't remember. but I remember having my TV on, iPad, laptop, and I was watching a fight. And I watched the first round, the typical fill it out round, southpaw versus conventional boxer.
Uh-huh.
And then I think Ryan thought he had something, and he came out a little aggressive, kind of like old boy Romello did when in the round when he got knocked out.
Yeah.
Um, and I was watching Tank, and I was like, okay, he jumping on Tank, he's using his height, using his length, and then Tank was like, all right, I see you coming. Then whap, caught him with the left hook. So when he caught him with the left hook, and he got up, and his demeanor was different. I was like, well, that's $50 I'll never see again because I put 50 on Garcia. And as soon as he got hit, and it wasn't like I thought he was gonna get knocked out. I just knew that they had the fill out round. Then the second round, he was, I don't know what the count was. Maybe it was 2 minutes into the 2 minutes into the second round. But I thought he was winning the second round. And then when he got dropped, it was quick, but I could tell his demeanor. I think for the rest of that second round, he was like, all right, let me just chill because it's already a 10-9 round for Tank at that point. So it was like, even if maybe he thought he won the first round, it was a 10-9 round as soon as he hit the canvas. So he probably was thinking, like, you know what? Let me jog it out, jab, 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 get to my corner and see
Right.
what they said. And I think his corner, like I said, I had the sound off. I'm thinking it's something like it had to be some kind of conversation where they told him to kind of go back to filling it out.
Right.
So watching it, paying attention to it like this, I was sitting in front of my laptop in my chair that I'm sitting in right now. The fight wasn't that exciting to me. As if you watch it without sound, without the crowd getting hyped up over a missed left hook, if you watch it on silent, you're like, it didn't even look like their other fights.
Hmm.
It just looked like they did the filling out thing for a while, and then Tank kept grabbing and like spinning them around like on purpose. And I was like, all right, is that a strategy? Is that something just to frustrate him to make him
Yeah, I was like, what?
to
Yeah, I
make
was
him
confused
to
by
make
that.
him to make him step into another one, or was Ryan really hurting him? And he was like, well, let me do this because he's really connecting. Because Ryan had the reach, he had the height. Tank is right in front of you. Like Tank, like he's right there because he's small. He was a smaller opponent. He had to get close. So I was curious of the strategy. And then as I was watching the fight, like I said, with no sound watching the fight, it was like it didn't look as exciting. Even the end with the liver shot, which is probably a dangerous and a very calculated, very smart boxing punch, it didn't. It was kind of lackluster because I thought Ryan was going to stand up, and I was like, that's
You
how
know what it
maybe that's
reminded me of? It
didn't
reminded me
Trinidad
of
or De La Hoya caught one, right?
yes, yeah, that's yep.
Bernard
And I
Hopkins.
yeah, and I remember they asked Bernard after the fight. They were like, hey, like, did you know it was over? And he said, I knew it was over. And they were like, how? And he was like, because when I hit him, I just heard him go, ooh. And he was like, I just knew it was over. So
They said Tank's face had the same expression, like
yeah, he was like,
he
he's done.
knew I got that one through. That
Right.
one was solid. He felt all of that. He was like, yeah,
So
this
so
is over.
first of all, I'm gonna say pause before I say this. My takeaway from the fight was once Ryan felt Tank, he ain't want to feel him no more.
Pause.
Because well, you remember you were talking about when we did our preview for the fight. You were talking about how you watched, I think it was Shakur Stevenson, and he was talking about this thing that Ryan Garcia does with his head.
Yeah,
Like
him and Tank were having like a conversation somewhere. There was like it was like a barbershop kind of wasn't an environment, but it was like a barbershop kind of conversation.
yeah,
I don't know if they were on each other's lives, but I think that's when Ryan first started calling out Tank. I'm
yeah,
gonna call it 3 years ago, probably around either on the tail end of COVID or right around then. But it was recent enough to where live was like a big thing.
yeah. So I remember you brought that up. So as this fight was going on, I was looking for that. I was looking for this weird motion.
Yeah.
But what I saw was whenever Tank would throw something, it didn't even necessarily have to be a power punch. But if he threw something that made you think a little bit, Ryan kept like turning his body and like he kept like balling up a little bit. Like,
and like turn, yeah.
yeah, it was weird. Like, you know what I
But he
mean? Like,
caught that hook
what you know? So so so
after he
so
caught that first hook.
so
Yeah, I think it shut him down.
so I didn't understand because I felt like Garcia never switched up his cadence, if you will. Like, so he would like throw a jab, and then he would just kind of like roll around for like another 30 seconds, waiting for another opening. He wouldn't like do double jabs, or he wasn't like, here's a jab, and then I'm gonna sneak this around. It was just like literally, he would just throw one or two punches, and then he would just kind of retreat and just kind of hold off for a little bit. So in my thoughts, I was like, well, maybe he's trying to figure out Tank's pattern and how Tank's coming at him. But I don't think that was it. I think that Tank hit him a couple of times, and he was just like, "What have I got myself into?"
This
So
is a
as
different kind of fight,
yeah,
yeah.
so as the fight went on, and you brought it up, where like there were a few times where it looked like maybe Garcia had hurt Tank, or I don't even think he hurt him. I think it was just more like Tank was just shocked, like, how did that get through? Like, because there was one good shot that I thought Garcia had, and Tank was up against the ropes. I think it might have been round 6. He was up against the ropes a little bit. He took the shot, but after he took it, he just like stepped forward anyway. Like, he didn't even like guard up or like anything. He took the shot and he just came forward. So I was like, well, maybe Tank has figured out that maybe Garcia hit him with a stiff shot or a power shot, and he just ate it, like, as Cameron would
He
say,
was
it was
like,
a
"Oh,
Scooby snack. Yeah. And so then
I think it might have." Yeah, I feel you on that one because I think after, like you said, he felt Tank pause. He he didn't let loose, and Tank knew it.
yeah,
Tank knew. He was like, this dude's not going to throw a 5 or 6 punch combination. He's not going to run punches together because he saw me slip that left hand through whatever guard he had. So when you brought up the whole him kind of tightening up and turning his whole body, Tank was a southpaw. So trying to get your foot on the inside of the outside. Well, you got a smaller guy. He was like, well, I already tested his chin with his left hook, so I think he kept stepping inside of Ryan's, like in his bubble. So that's when he would get too close. He just would grab. He was like, okay, I
right,
stepped in. I couldn't get this left hand off. I'm gonna just grab, spin him around, frustrate him. The ref will separate us, and I'll try to do it again. So as I'm watching the fight in silent, I was like, it's like they each one of them kept doing the same thing, and it's like it felt like round one just was repeating itself.
right. And what's that thing? Mike Tyson. Like everybody got a plan
The
until they get
plan
hit.
to get hit in the mouth.
Yeah. So when I was looking at Garcia, I don't think there was a plan B. Like, I feel like his camp trained him a certain way. Like, this is how the fight is going to go. And then they never did alternative plans, but if Tank does this instead, or when he zigs, you zag. Like, I don't feel like there was any of that. Like, I feel like Garcia came into the fight with a set game plan. Maybe Tank didn't give him what he was looking for, and he just didn't know how to react.
I
And
think he gave. I think they had a plan, and it was the Mike Tyson philosophy. Everybody got a plan till they get hit in the mouth. I think the plan was to fill him out in the first round, and then to use his size and speed to pressure Tank.
yeah,
And then Tank was like, "All I need is one shot," because that's what he's talking about in that live. What I think it was like either Shakur Stevenson or Steve, like Shakur Haney or Stevenson. I think it was Stevenson. He was like, "Man, the way he stick his chin, because Ryan would do this. He would stick his
yeah,
chin up." But I think against in this fight, he kept it down. The problem was Tank stepped inside of it and then
right,
caught him with the left hook. So it was like Ryan probably had a plan of like, listen, I'm not a boxing analysis, but I imagine that because he didn't do that, because I've watched a lot of his highlights, like his highlights, a lot of Instagram stuff, because I watched probably more highlights of Ryan Garcia and even like fights, because most of his fights are like 1 or 2 rounds, maybe 3. You
Well,
see
you
him
remember that was
on
my
Facebook, yeah.
takeaway when we were previewing the fight. I felt that he was, I mean, admirable because we want to see his fights. But my point that I brought up when we were talking about it was I think that he needed like 3 or 4 more fights before this fight. Like, I don't
It
think
was
he was ready
like
for this fight.
Canelo fighting Floyd Mayweather a little too early because we
Yeah,
needed a fight.
we need a
We
fight.
as
Yeah,
we proverbial we needed a fight to sell Vegas, and it was like this is the fight. It was like, listen, the card's ready to race. We don't have a nod system in it yet, but it's ready to race.
Yeah, because
So
I think he
maybe
was
it's a
like,
win, maybe it's not.
I think he came in 24 and
23 and 0.
0 or
23 and
20,
0, yeah.
yeah, 23 and 0. So that's where like initially I had felt,
But Tank was only 28 and 0,
but I
27,
think, but
28.
I think, but I think when you peel it back, like I think, how can I word this? I think Tank fought better fighters, I guess, than Garcia fought. You know,
I think they all probably fought. I think Tank probably had a few more championship headlining
yeah,
worthy
yeah,
fights, even though I think the talent might not have been like they weren't fighting a bunch of world champions on their resume.
right, right, right,
But I
right.
think Devontae was defending his belt more and fighting a little bit more. And sometimes it works out to where you have the guy who doesn't have a lot of fights, and he goes up against the guy with fights, and it works out. You had it with, you know, Fury Wilder. Wilder
Uh-huh.
had a bunch of fights, and I think Fury had a couple of championship fights, and I think he had some big fights. So it was like, okay, we need this fight to happen, even though if you broke it down before the fight happened, if you did like some kind of scoring, like, okay, well, you look at their last 15 fights and you gave an A+ fighter a 4, like grading some class assignments. All right, these guys are A fighters, these guys are B fighters, these guys are C's, these and that's whatever.
Right.
And if somebody ran all those numbers, it might have been like, yo, we don't think this guy's ready for this fight because of that, or this guy's not ready for this fight because he hasn't fought enough people. But as a fan, I needed to see Wilder Fury. As a fan, we needed to see Garcia Davis. Like the
Right.
fight had to happen.
Right.
And now we got to see Haney Davis.
Yeah. Or
Like it
Stevenson.
or Steve. Like these fights now they have
Well,
to
well,
happen
well, well,
because
well, well no, I
the
really
problem
want
is
to
going
see.
to
I
be is
really
like
want to see
this,
Haney, but Haney's
this
got
is
to
the
get through
problem.
Lomachenko first.
True indeed. But even if we don't get the Haney Davis, then we get the Lemachenko Davis, or we get
Right. Right.
Davis. We got these fights have to happen. They can't, and they got to happen this year. We need a fight in October.
You know what it reminds me of?
We got to get a fight in October.
You
We
know what it
have to
reminds
have
me of?
one
It
out of
reminds
this
me.
group of people players or
It
group of
reminds
fighters.
me. It reminds me of when we were tiny, tiny kids. You know, Sugar Ray, Tommy Hearns, Hagler. Like you just had this round robin. Like we all got to get it
You
in.
got to fight. You
You
got to
know.
get it. So you got this one in April. Somebody you got to get either you got to get the Garcia Davis rematch. Maybe that people might rock with that. Like I said, I didn't think the fight was that. They seem real friendly afterwards. I don't know how that worked.
I think Garcia needs to go back and fight Zepeda or somebody like that. Like
No,
he needs a tune up. He needs a tune
Garcia
up.
Garcia could be the new McGregor. He can lose a couple because I think he has he has like the face and the aura because he caught a mean body shot and
Right, right.
everybody talked about that body shot like, yo, I saw a doctor break it down on Facebook. He was like, listen, he talked about the ribs getting to the liver and then the lactic acid that comes from here just kind of that's why he could take a couple of steps back and your body just shuts down. So it's
Yeah,
like
because he even threw a couple of
he
punches,
threw a couple, and it
and
was
then he was
like
just like, whoa, 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 whoa,
she's like, I can't do it,
no mas.
so it's like as a doctor breaking that down, I was like, okay, well he wasn't overmatched. He just got caught with a mean shot. De La Hoya caught it. I mean, that's his promoter. We still consider De La Hoya a legend,
Right.
but what has to happen is you got to take these egos. You got to go ahead and lead them in the parking lot. Everybody that's hot right now between Haney, Stevenson, Lemachenko, Davis, Garcia,
And you still
all
got
of y'all,
Teofeo Lopez out there. Yeah.
y'all got to make these fights. So we need a September fight, we need an October fight, and we need a December fight. So which one of you guys gonna make these fights happen?
Yeah. So that was the other
Like
thing that I
keep
was a
it
little
going because
concerned
if you
about.
keep it going, then you can get the Floyd Mayweather move where you get Cinco de Mayo.
Right. And see, that was the other thing I was concerned about because Tank's fight was so recent. that I thought that could be a thing, but you know what I mean? Because he went 9 rounds with name slipping me right now.
Was that
No,
Romero?
no, it was I think it was
I
another
thought Romero was
Garcia.
the
It was
last
Hector
one.
Garcia. It was Hector
I
Garcia.
thought he knocked him out and then he did the Romero fight.
No, he did.
The
He
guy
did.
he caught with the uppercut.
He did
Like he
Romero,
timed it out.
and then he did Garcia. I believe in January because remember he quit like in the 9th round and said he couldn't see.
Oh, okay, I remember
Yeah,
that.
so that was the
The
fight.
bald
So
Hispanic guy.
yeah,
Okay.
the ball. I think his name was Garcia as well, Hector Garcia. But that was the thing where like the fights were so close together. That's where I was a little concerned for Tank of maybe
So
that could be an issue.
now Tank takes on what is it? Haney Lemonchenko.
The Haney Lomachenko winner because they fight next month. They fight in
Okay.
May.
So whatever their record is, I don't care whatever the record is. Whoever wins that fight, I need the winner Lemonchenko Haney to
Yep.
fight Davis in October.
Right.
And then Garcia
and Stevenson.
So Haney wins. I mean Haney wins, he fights Davis in October. Now
Okay.
you give me Garcia and Lemonchenko in November.
Okay.
Just do it. I don't care what belts are on the line. Just get the fight. It's because you need to keep getting these fights out, and then you can get another one in April between Stevenson and Davis or Shakur, and then you can get whoever the better of those options are. You can get them on a Cinco de Mayo, Floyd Mayweather,
Right.
MGM Grand May 5th weekend fight. Like
Right.
that's what they because that basically that weight class between 130 and 140, however they're gonna fight it out. You'll have April 2023, you'll have May 2023, you'll have October 2023, November 2023, and April, May 2024. Those are 6 fights of your weight class, and every single fight is going to increase the buzz of your fighter.
Right.
And that way you can headline.
And then this can be the new golden era of boxing.
That's the Roy Jones, Bernard Hopkins, 60-40. I whip. You ever see that
interview? Yeah, 60-40. I'll whoop your ass.
Whip your ass. 60-40. I whip your ass.
Yeah, because Roy was like, I beat you before.
He was like 60-40. I beat you. I'll whoop your ass. 60-40. I whip your ass. And I couldn't wait for that fight. Roy Jones.
I'm still out here waiting on. I'm still waiting on Spence and Bud. And while we waiting on that, I'm gonna let everybody know Jimmy Butler has 31 of the Heat's 65 points. Only problem is they're down by 10 to Milwaukee, or actually it's 8 now because Bam Adebayo just got the shot and is going to the free throw line for the and one opportunity. But we got 5:27 left in the third quarter.
Milwaukee's up got that 8. LeBron chair.
Yeah, his back hurt. He got
that LeBron chair. LeBron took that thing everything when he goes to like Bronny's AAU games. He had a dude carrying it, like a little thing for his back.
Yeah. So Giannis has 21, 9 and 7 in his return.
I saw Fury Ruiz.
Yes, that's official now. Yes, and in all these years, I've been waiting for Deontay and
Joshua.
And Joshua, yes.
Give me that fight.
I've been waiting like 5 years for that.
I'm trying to get the Revolutionary War Part 2 popping. I already got it promoted. You're going to have one dude dressed like George Washington, one dude dressed like King George on Delaware on the boat, whatever.
Shout out to Crispus Addicts.
Because if you think about it, Christmas Addicts, I saw that. Like, I was in a trivia night last week and couldn't get that answer right. I was so upset. But if you think about it, it's like you have these opportunities just to make the fight. Just make the fight. UFC was big with this. UFC, you could be 18-9, and a dude can be 21-0 with a belt. You can be in the crowd and be like, "Yo, I'll whoop your ass," and get a fight.
Sign it. Yeah, like Chael Sonnen was getting title shots all over the place.
Man, that dude was doing nothing but talking shit, doing rules.
Hey, where my man came from? Where my man came from? What was his name? Weidman that fought Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva broke his leg. Yeah, it was like where this dude came from. He just came off the street.
He did the exact same thing. He broke his leg the same way to lose a fight.
Yeah,
Literally,
but I'm
the
talking about.
same kick. He broke his like in a
Yeah, I
future
remember.
fight after that.
It was
He broke,
recent,
and
like
I
in the
was like,
last 2
that was
years. Yeah.
yeah, that was weird. Broke his leg the same way.
And it was weird because like dude like literally had like the whole Rocky thing coming on. Like I didn't know who he was. He just showed up with the American flag. It was like,
Yo,
yo, he was in
listen,
the Air Force, and then it was like, yo, Apollo Creed, son. And then
patriotism it sells. But we need it. We need it. Like I said, I bet on Garcia. Typically, we talked about the great white hype and how boxing and fight are pretty much. It's kind of a given that you're allowed to pick along racial lines. Like remember Peter McNeely when he
yeah,
tried to fight Mike. I
yeah,
had a better chance of fighting Mike. I think I might have been 9 years old during that fight.
yeah. The Irish
Yo,
hope.
yeah. I mean, like he didn't even have a good haircut. He
Yeah,
can't go in the ring with nothing like that. But yeah,
yeah.
so
So yo,
boxing, either I need to go ahead and start my own entertainment thing and make it pop, or y'all do it for me so we can talk about it on podcast next
where
year.
Canelo been at? Speaking of which, because you brought him up, where he been?
After he beat Triple G, he realized he was like, "What's the point of me doing this?"
Well, he lost his next fight after that. So
That's it.
like,
Oh, Canelo,
yeah,
he beat
he
Triple
lost the
G.
he lost the plant, right?
Nah, he beat Plant.
Or not Plant. I'm sorry. That was the wrong guy.
Plant lost. Plant lost his last fight. I think it was to Canelo.
Okay. No, it was B-Ball. That's who we lost to.
Who was that? Let's see.
Yeah, he lost to B-Ball. And I don't think I've seen him since. Like, I haven't seen him do any interviews. I haven't seen him like, I haven't heard his name mentioned. Like, I mean, I know that Plant wanted a rematch. But I haven't really heard his name out there because he was like the face of boxing for a long time. Where like Canelo was one of those dudes where like you had to knock him out because if it was any type of close fight, you wasn't gonna get that victory. And
Unless you're Mayweather.
because you got to ask Triple G about that one because I thought Triple G won those first 2 fights against
I just
Canelo.
thought Canelo as a red-headed Mexican was not a good marketing plan. Just didn't work.
I know, and I don't want no
He looked
damn,
Irish. He looked Irish. He didn't speak much English.
and I don't want no damn
It just
Tecate
didn't.
beer either. What I'm saying? None of that
Yeah.
stuff. What I'm saying?
You
But
ever had
anyway,
desperados?
but anyway, we talked about Jimmy Butler, the Heat are down 13 now. So, Raph, we got to switch it up. Last week we were asking, are the Warriors in trouble? Are the Kings in trouble now?
I saw something today that De'Aaron Fox broke the tip of his finger.
Yeah, fracture on a shooting hand, fractured the tip of his shooting hand or
Yeah,
shooting finger.
so it's a wrap. It's a wrap for them.
You know
It
what
was
I'm
a
confused
valiant.
about?
It was a valiant effort.
You know
But
what I'm
yeah,
confused about? I'm confused about why DeMontis Sabonis doesn't try to pull Draymond away from the basket more. Like it
because
seems like,
Sabonis can't shoot.
but no, he don't even gotta shoot, but just be in the high post and set up some pick and roll, do something.
They guard him like they guard Draymond. But you're
you
not gonna
know,
shoot from 15 feet.
but he literally like he will not take a shot unless it's from like 2 feet.
Exactly. The Draymond is the way they was guard. The way teams were guarding Russ, Draymond. Who else gets got that dude Tillman from Memphis? They give him that same treatment where it's like,
I know, but
all right,
after all
man.
this, if after 2016, if Harrison Barnes can take some jumpers, anybody can take a jumper.
Yeah, and Harrison Barnes is out there shooting like somebody paid him to shave points.
I don't know why the
And
Kings
that
didn't call timeout on. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know why the Kings called timeout. I thought they should have just took the ball and ran it down Golden State's throat because Steph tried to give them a Chris Webber hookup.
yo, it's weird how like okay, for instance, if De'Aaron Fox just turns and shoots and makes that jumper, time expires, Golden State's down 3-1. It's only happened a couple of times in the playoffs where a team came back from 3-1 and they're down
Right.
3-1 going back to Sacramento. Granted, Sacramento's like right up the block from where they play. It's not as far. It's not like they're going from San Francisco to
Hey, they still didn't win there in the first 2 games of this series.
they can get 8 helicopters and get all these dudes from the Chase Arena to Sacramento in 25 minutes. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're not even in the time zone. Your family probably already in Sacramento. They probably beat traffic because it's late. Like they're not going that far. It's just a different the seats are painted a different color.
Right.
But going up 3-1, And now it's 1-1-1. So it's one, and you go back and you go back. Because I remember the Miami Heat Dallas Mavericks was 2-3-2
Well, that was just for the finals, though. The regular series, like the rounds prior to the finals, were
or
still the
so
1-1-1.
2-1.
Yeah,
Okay, 1-1-1. Okay.
yeah, that was
So
just for the finals.
so now they're so Golden State's down 3-1 and they go back to Sacramento, you might be able to close it out. But being 2-2 and now your best player is injured, and the Golden State Warriors are a scrappy team. Yes, have they been fortunate to get the injury bug for the other team? Yes, but it happened to them in the finals when everybody got injured on their team and
Right.
the Raptors won the championship. It happens. Jordan's championship, Magic was hurt, Kareem was old. I mean, it's like it happens. There's advantages to just playing this game, good, bad, or indifferent. But the Kings are in trouble. They're in trouble because unless you expect Malik Monk to play the De'Aaron Fox role, long arm point guard from Kentucky, getting everybody involved, because Clay, Steph, Draymond, Jordan Poole. I think Jordan Poole probably has the longest, I mean, for lack of a better word, I don't want to say leash, but the longest leash of any bench player in the league. Like he can go out there and play like Steph and only get 12 points for the whole game, and Steph will get 32. And Steve Kerr is happy with what Jordan Poole did because he played aggressive.
Yeah, I think Jordan Poole is like literally the new drug dealer on the block. That's like, I'm taking Steph's spot. Like he really thinks that like he's better than
Jordan
Steph.
Poole has a safety deposit box with some compromising photos of the front office, Steve Kerr, or some text messages. Because he averaged less points off the bench this year than Russ, right?
Yes. And yeah, and he shoots a
Everybody
well. I mean, granted, it was by
shoots
point
a
one. It was by point one, but Russ was a better 3-point shooter this season too.
yeah, and Russ was a terrible 3-point shooter for most of the year until he got to the Clippers and he played 13 games and had like 36% from three. So Jordan Poole has had a less productive offensive season than Russ, but the way they allow him to play, it's like whatever. Just go out there and do you. And if you can get us 20, we're good. But if you only get us 12 and Steph Curry gets 6 minutes or 15-minute real life minutes of rest, we're good with that. Because if they take him out, say, I don't know what the time is, say they take him out with like 2.5 minutes left in the first.
Right.
You got your TV time out of like seven and some change. You get him out of the game at like 9 minutes in the first. He sits until about the 7 or 8 minute mark in the second. If you can keep it close, that's like 15 or 20 minutes where he's just like chilling on the bench. Jordan Poole out there acting a donkey, doing whatever he wants with the ball, and they leave Clay out there to be like, and Clay's like, all right, dog, you now give it to Dre so Dre can bounce me this ball. I can shoot this three.
Yeah.
I just think that they believe that no matter what the circumstance, every single batch of players they put on the floor can accomplish whatever the preset goal is, whatever the
And
predetermined goal is for Kaminga, Looney, Jordan Poole, Clay, and Draymond on the floor. We expect y'all to get us 15 points.
see, and that's why, like at the start of this, I picked Golden State in 7, and it was more so because it was one of those like Golden State has seen a lot of different scenarios. Now, granted, they had never been down 2-0 before, but but they saw a lot of different
And I got
pressurized.
erased.
Yeah, but they faced almost every kind of scenario a team could face. They've come back from 3-1. They gave up a 3-1 lead. And this series could be 3-1 either way. If Wiggins hits a shot in game one, or if Harrison Barnes hits this shot, yesterday, it could have been 3-1 either way. So, Sacramento
Tell
has
me,
no.
man, give me the best of nine of Sacramento and Golden
Give
State
it
take two
here.
games
Give it
from
here. But
Denver.
you
Yeah,
know what? I made an interesting discovery on Saturday.
let's hear it.
Denver gonna bust Phoenix ass.
Oh, absolutely.
They gonna bust that ass. Like I'm talking about,
Oh,
like it might be
Phoenix has no
5,
bench.
it might be 6.
One of us can make a spot on Phoenix bench right now if they needed players.
Well, I was thinking
Somebody
earlier
to
today.
rebound. You need a round mount rebound guy. That's me. I'm
See,
out
see,
there with the 250, just throwing it on people. You need somebody running up and down the court. You got Mike. Phoenix,
yo,
call me because y'all need some
yo,
help.
I was thinking about this, right? And because when the Durant thing happened, the trade went down. We kept talking about episodes. I'm like, I'm gonna title this "Does the Sun Rise in the West?" All that kind of stuff like that. I was really drinking it at first, but now that I'm seeing it in action, I'm like, unless Torrey Craig is gonna continue to be the reincarnation of Ray Allen, I don't know where this is going.
Man, that
So,
dude plays Olay Matador defense.
but I
They
feel
go
like
after him the whole game one.
uh,
I watched them go after him. He was out there stunting, shooting the wide open threes, but as soon as he had to come off a pick and roll, it was a wrap.
if if
They were targeting him the way
if Paul
they
George
targeted Luca last year.
if Paul George can somehow play in Game 5, like I'm not saying it's out of the
Is
realm of
Kawhi playing a
possibility.
game five?
No, from it sounds like Kawhi might be out for the season. From the last I was reading, he might just be done. You know what I mean? But I'm just throwing the Paul George thing out there. I haven't heard anything, but if Paul George was just able to play in Game 5, I wouldn't think it's out of the realm of possibility that the Clippers could win that game because I mean they're right on the brink of beating Phoenix. They just can't close it out. That's all it is. They just can't close it out. But I've been super non-impressed with Phoenix. My favorite moment of the whole series was DeAndre Ayton
Throwing
throwing
the
at
ball out of bounds.
yeah, yelling at Chris
How did I know
Paul.
you're
Like
gonna say that?
I was like, yo, like, come
He
on,
is
man.
6'1".
You know what I'm saying?
He is
Stop it.
six. He could have been 7'1" and still had
But I
trouble
don't
catching that pass.
but I don't know what Phoenix is going to do with Jokic, first of all. They don't have anybody that can stop Jamal Murray. So I feel like pick and roll is just going to kill them all day long against Denver. So I think their best hope to beat Denver literally, and this could happen. I'm not saying it can't, but their best chance to beat Denver is literally KD has to average about 32 and Booker has to average about 31 and a half. Like that's
I still don't think that's enough.
it might not be, but
And the reason I heard who said it. Colin Cowherd was talking to Rick Bucher today on the show, and he was talking about John Morant's 45.
yeah.
And he was like, "Have you ever seen a less impressive or useless 45-point game performance in the playoffs?" He's like, if you think about it, he was like, did it have any impact on the outcome of the game?
It almost did.
They were down 13 when he was scoring those points.
They got it down to like 8. You know what I mean? And
No, it
yeah,
was. I
they
don't think it was
did. They got it
eight. I
down to
think
8 at one
it
point.
might have been 9.
Well, okay,
It
they got it
might
to
have
single
been
digits at
9.
one point. Oh, hold on, Jimmy Butler. No. All right, so we're at the end of 3, 89-78 Milwaukee. But no,
Yeah.
like I think there was a
So if
moment
you think
where
about it, and it was like, so what is the argument that not necessarily argument, but the philosophy you and I talked about? Do you let Steve Nash score 40 and stay glued to the other 4 guys, or let Steve Nash get 22 with 16 assists?
I think it's different. I think it's different because Ja like when you look at Steve Nash and Chris Paul, because I think that was the other person that we had brought up in that
Yeah,
conversation, you want them to score because their game is to naturally set up other people.
but
Ja can
KD's
Ja
game
can win
isn't.
when he Ja can go win without having 9 assists or whatever.
I don't think so, because you think about it, it's the same thing with KD. If KD getting you 40, yes, we know he's efficient. He's efficient, but if he's getting you 40 points and he's putting up a lot of shots, that means the other team's best offender is on him a lot. And if he's giving you 40, but he's giving you 40, 11, and 7 rebounds, I'll take that. But if you're like, you know what? I'm gonna stay glued to Chris Paul. I'm not gonna let him get in the flow at all to the point where every time he puts up a shot, it's a potential defensive rebound for my team because he's not rhythm.
What?
I'm gonna stay glued to KD. I'm gonna stay glued to Devin Booker. I'm gonna let you get 26 shots off for your 34 points. But I'm not gonna let the guy, because Chris Paul's a rhythm guy. You know Chris Paul's a rhythm. When he come off the pick and roll and he do that little inside out dribble spin, you know he's feeling it.
No, but the
I don't
reason
want Chris Paul to get to that point because of his 16, because Chris Paul's type of player that can go 16, 10, and 8. and
But
it's like
the only
you
reason
win by
Memphis,
16 points.
I think that's a dumb the thing that you were saying that you heard. I just think that was dumb because for one, Memphis had an all-time worst first quarter in NBA history. The end of the first quarter was 35-9. So like to say that Ja's 45 was unimpactful is to ignore that.
Okay,
You know what I mean? Like
okay. Now, if you feel that way, tell me where you thought his points alone were impactful.
they were
What did his
impactful. They
points
were
do for the
impactful for the
team?
fact because there was a minute or two in that fourth quarter where the momentum was shifting, and it was like, "Yo, are they going to blow this?" There was a minute. It
It
only
was a
lasted for about a
feeling.
minute.
It
It
was a
only lasted for
feeling.
about a minute. It only
But
lasted for
now,
about a minute.
okay, the feeling now that's a feeling. You felt like the Lakers were going to blow it. Now think about this: when Ja was scoring 25 points in the fourth, how many guys can you recall took jump shots from three and made them? Like, just think about it. Who else had 6 points? Did you that you can recall? Granted, we don't have the research, but did anybody else have 6 points in the fourth quarter?
Probably not.
Because what happened was he had the ball in his hand the whole time. And granted, he was scoring, but the defense didn't change. He did pick
So is
and
this
roll.
series over?
I don't think it's over because like they can easily win the night. Because I don't think the Lakers were like overly impressive. I think what the Lakers do well is the fact that they're big bodies. They play big, they play smart, they play under control. But all that control in the world is cute. But if
Right.
Bane and Brooks and this dude Tillman just starts hitting random open jump shots, your defense looks good. Like everyone talks about NBA defense, 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 defense. It looks good if you're doing something like you have Ja, or you have Russ, or you have Booker, or you have a guy like Tatum or Jalen Brunson, and your defense is kind of designed and you're putting them in positions where they're taking tough shots.
Well,
Well, if
hopefully
they're
the
taking
well,
tough shots,
hopefully
if they pass, if these guys pass out of the opportunity for a tough shot, like if Donovan Mitchell knows this is going to be a tough shot because everyone's keying in on me, and he kicks it to Mobley, and Mobley's at 9 to 12 feet, and Mobley just puts up a little floater, and it goes in. No matter how good your defense was on Donovan Mitchell, they still got 2 points out of that possession.
no, we're gonna get to them in a
Memphis,
second.
they didn't get points out of their possessions because guys weren't making those shots. So, like everyone talks about defense, defense, defense. Yeah, it's cool, but in most good defenses, leave a guy open. We could talk about the defense De'Aaron Fox and Steph and Draymond put on him at the end of the game. Harrison Barnes still got a good shot out of
Oh
that.
yeah, oh yeah.
He just didn't hit it.
And Steph
So,
missed yet another clutch shot.
so was it good defense by Steph on De'Aaron Fox, or was it just a missed shot by Harrison
No,
Barnes?
it was just good strategy to let the ball end up in Harrison Barnes' hands.
I mean, Harrison Barnes is a shooter, and you leave a shooter open. I mean, he's not an all-time great, whatever,
No,
whatever,
no,
but he's an
no.
NBA player,
No,
and
but
you
he's
gave him
probably
a
the
wide
dude.
open
But
shot.
he's probably the dude that was on the floor that I would have wanted to take that shot if I was the defense.
If you give me any NBA player wide open, I'm afraid. It's like Drew Brees on third
I'm
down.
not afraid because I've been watching this game since it started, and I am not afraid of Drew Holiday being open.
Yeah, but he did drop 27 and a half and 54 a game a few weeks ago.
I know
So, like, it
yeah,
happens.
Brandon Jennings dropped 55 too.
Yeah,
But
you just
like
got to get hot.
but yes, have you ever watched a team? Have you ever watched a team and you just thought, yo, y'all could be so good if y'all had brains?
Talking about Memphis.
No, I'm talking about Cleveland. So first of all, before I go any further, I'm gonna take a quick second. I'm gonna apologize to the New York Knicks because I counted y'all out. So I'm gonna be a man and admit that I counted y'all out, except for Julius Randle. I'm not apologizing to you because because
Wildcat love, right?
yeah, 31% from the field, 30% from three, points per game down 8.5 from the regular season. You
That's
gets no
tough.
love, Julius. You gets no
That's
love,
tough.
Julius.
That's a
But
tough little run. I'm
yeah,
glad you got stats like that on everybody or just him.
just him. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna but I'm gonna tell you why the Cavs are
That was
stupid.
rhetorical.
But I'm gonna tell you why the Cavs are stupid. Because I was thinking about this, right? So Jared Allen is like Mr. All Defense and everything, and he's like that DeAndre Jordan dude where he's gonna get the points off the dunks and the putbacks and all that kind of stuff like that.
Correct.
Mobley, I thought, had a chance to break out and come out in this series and announce himself to the world, right? But this is the problem. This is the problem. When you play with too little people in the back court, because we're not allowed to say the M word anymore. When you play with too little people in the back court, like Monte Ellis and Steph, we're back to that with Cleveland. We're back to Dame and CJ McCollum with Cleveland. And Donovan Mitchell wants to take all the crazy shots and he wants to shoot over two people and he don't pass the ball. So like yesterday, for example, right? Cleveland was in this game and Mobley hit 5 of his first 7 shots in the first half, right? He took 1 shot in the second half.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense. And I was trying to explain this to somebody that I was having a conversation with. I'm not saying that Mobley needs to go score 30 points.
But if you go 5 for 7 in the first, you got to go at least 6 for 8 in the second half.
But you got to at least shots. But you got to at least put the ball in his hands and let the defense collapse on him. So Orlando, right back in the day, the reason why Orlando was so good, especially that series against Cleveland, it wasn't because Dwight Howard, you were like, yo, Dwight Howard's about to score 41 points. It was, let's get Dwight the ball down low, and he going to hit Turkoglu or Rashard Lewis or somebody on this wing.
Petrus.
Michael Petrus, who we never heard from again. And that's the thing. Like, Cleveland never did that. Like, they never went inside to play inside out. They were just like, yo, Spider, spin your web, make something happen, shoot another brick, and eventually it'll fall. And so I'm wondering.
In hindsight, a lot of those games is a situation where it's not like I want to say money quarterback or whatever, but we kind of look at it, and I think in the heat of the moment at that ground level, because even at this camera view, it looks like the guys aren't moving that fast.
Yeah.
So we're watching the game like, yo, why didn't you just do this? Why did you do that? And I think it's a lot that goes into it. Sometimes it's just a matter of
Giannis with the triple-double.
Do you trust what you're doing and just riding out with it? And sometimes when these guys get like 6 or 7 shots up in the first half, that's not the plan. That's not the norm. That's not the expectation. So when you go back in and you want to come out in the second half and install your plan and exert your dominance, the plan to get it to your third or fourth score 8 times in the second half doesn't happen. Phoenix had a game last week where Kevin Durant only got 1 shot in the second half.
Right.
That was weird because it's Kevin Durant.
Right.
But when it comes to guys like Mobley, when you get guys like Drew Holiday, you get guys like Brook Lopez, you get guys like Bane. If Desmond Bane goes 4 for 8 from 3 in the first half, yeah, he'll probably shoot a bunch, but you're not running a lot of plays for him to shoot.
Right. Even though they should.
Even though you should.
He's the best shooter on the team.
That's not your game plan. So I think that's a lot of that just comes from that. And on top of that, it's like some guys are just built for a certain moment. We talked about the backpack guys.
Jimmy Butler with 37. So
Jimmy Butler. Some of these guys just might be so ready intrinsically, and your game plan as the opposing coach is almost irrelevant because this guy's gonna make it happen for his team. There's nothing you can do for your own team.
Well, check it out. I made another discovery yesterday. See, here we go. There we go. That should be a new segment. 2 5 discoveries. So my discovery on Saturday was Denver's going to whoop up on Phoenix. My discovery yesterday was I have already accepted the fact that James Harden is a loser. So I'm going to take all the energy that I've been putting on James Harden and transfer that to Donovan Mitchell now. That's my new discovery.
I thought you were going to take all your energy you had for Julius Randle and transfer to James Harden. That's what I thought you were going with.
No.
I was okay. So he's going to leave Julius Randle alone because James Harden, one of those listen, he's not a backpack guy. Some people, and if you guys haven't watched our episodes backpack, the philosophy came in the conversation I was having with Mike back in the day. I think we were talking about Jordan, Kobe, LeBron. In basketball reference.
What you were doing was you were shitting on Jokic. That's what you were doing.
No, this is a conversation we had years ago. This is something I thought about. Everybody hop in this book bag. I'm gonna get us across the finish line. Kobe was one of those guys. LeBron is one of those guys. Jordan undoubtedly was one of those guys. Just I'm not saying these other guys didn't contribute, but T-Mac wasn't one of those guys. I mean, James
Ooh,
Harden wasn't one of those guys.
ooh, they gonna
Carmelo
kill you for
Anthony's
that
not
one.
one of those guys. Dame Lillard's not one of those guys. Patrick Ewing wasn't one of those guys. Reggie Miller wasn't one. Like some of these guys could just get you. Just I'm here, so we're going here.
We're in a game that we got no business winning, but we're not necessarily getting over the hump.
Allen Iverson was one of those guys. He was probably the quintessential guy because he's one of the smaller guys that did it. You could talk about, Isaiah Thomas with the Pistons, but they had a whole philosophy that didn't
Right,
really include Isaiah, like the whole big tough fighter guys. He tried
right.
to fight Karl Malone, but he just was too bloodied up and it wasn't too much he could do. But he was pissed off about it. I give him that. But
Yeah.
Mahomes, Rodman, those other guys handled that part. So AI was, like I said, AI was one of those guys. Gilbert Arenas wasn't. I mean, so it's like certain guys just have that quality, and
Is Jason Tatum one of those guys?
I think the thing with the Boston Celtics, I think they are probably the best constructed team in the NBA because they never panicked. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals. They were making deep runs in the playoffs. They were losing to LeBron. They never panicked. Toronto panicked, traded DeMar DeRozan to get Kawhi, and they got a chip out of it. But now that guy's gone, and ever since they got the chip, they've been a mediocre basketball team. Good, entertaining, good for Canada, but they've been mediocre. The If you think about this, the Celtics can run at you. Smart, White, and Brogdon is
Right.
their point guards. Smart is might not be your traditional point guard, but he can defend the point guard, the shooting guard, and maybe a small forward that's under 6'7". Realistically, he's defensive player of the year. Derek Williams is just a smart guy, knows his role. When he's hot, he shoots. When he's not, he passes.
You talking about Derek White?
Brogdon, yeah, with the
Okay.
with the Stephen A. Smith hairline, and then you got Brogdon, another team light skinned player came through. He just knows
Six
his
man of the
role.
year.
6 man of the year, and then you still got Tatum and Brown, and then you still got
Old
Grant
man Horford.
Williams. You got the two Williams. You got Grant and Robert and Horford, and then you got a guy like Hoser off the bench. You got another like the way their team is set up. If there's so many different combinations you can put out there, you can get guys rest and still get points.
That's why I can't help
Without
but think that they're going to win the title this year.
uh, I think Milwaukee's a really good team because I think Milwaukee kind of embodies the mantra of their two leaders, being
Uh-huh.
Holiday and Antetokounmpo. I think the coach. I think certain teams are just built to be, the built to make runs.
Yeah.
Some of these teams out west aren't.
Yeah.
Some teams, Miami's one of these teams that they're built. They're built as far as trying to think like a mantra and a moxie.
Yeah.
They just don't have the talent to sustain it.
Yeah.
They'll play as hard as bricks
Yeah.
dipped in
Definitely.
nitroglycerin. Like they'll play that hard, but at a certain point, you just need a guy. You need you need another guy like Jimmy Butler, but you need no. You need Jimmy Butler to split into two guys. You need the offensive guy that can explode the way Jimmy Butler does offensively. And then you need another guy that plays defensively and with the tenacity that Jimmy Butler does on the field, on the court at the same time. Because right now, you got one guy doing it. We saw it in the finals of the bubble. He had two triple doubles. The game, it went 6 games. The 2 games where he had 40-point triple doubles, they won. But at the end of those games, he was
Dog
exhausted,
tired. Yeah.
dead tired. You need another guy that can get you a 40 point, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and another guy that gets you 8 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists.
That's why
Split
I
off of Jimmy
that's
Butler.
why I was shocked that they didn't do anything during the deadline. I mean, then again, Pat Riley fell asleep, but I did, that was another team that I was looking for. Just like Memphis. Everybody remember when we first started Sports Reports is Ordered. I said something along the lines of yo, is Dylan Brooks going to be back? And you were like, hey, nah, like Dylan Brooks is a part of that team and XYZ. And, and when I look back at it, at the trade deadline, they tried to get Mikal Bridges and they tried to get OG from
Yeah,
Toronto.
but okay, Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bain combined are Jimmy Butler.
I don't know if Dylan Brooks plays defense that good enough for that
But
conversation.
he plays it with an energy.
Yeah.
He plays it with like and he can just exhaust himself offensively and then shoot like 6 or 7 threes, and maybe he goes 2 for 6, maybe he goes 3 for 6.
I wonder if Memphis is tired of him.
Nah, I don't think
Like
so.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know, but yeah. So where are we at in the playoffs now? So Brooklyn's gone. So they were the only team.
Brooklyn got robbed.
They were
Brooklyn
the
got
only
robbed.
team
We'll
that
talk
got
about it
swept.
later.
Yeah, they're the
They
only
got
team that
robbed of
got
at least
swept.
one game.
Minnesota kept it alive last night. But I'm pretty sure Denver's going to close them out once they go back to Denver.
Yeah, we
You
got
know.
that. Anthony Edwards is picking up the star though.
Oh yeah, and
Minnesota, listen, Minnesota. A Rod, this thing on. Write the check, man.
and I can't
Cut
call
the
that
check.
and I can't call that dude Cat no more. Like that man is just Carl Anthony now. You like, you know
Kitten,
what I mean?
kitten.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he
Oh,
did. He did a
meow.
little kitten. Like, yeah, like this dude. I don't know why this dude is always in foul trouble. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't get why. Like, look, I get it, right? We're in this new era of NBA. It helps if you can be a stretch guy. Be a bigger guy that can shoot the threes. I get all that stuff. But Rudy Gobert is not, I guess, a threat offensively outside of lobs and like just little broken plays. So I just need Carl to act like he's the height that he is.
Oh, you want him inside with Rudy?
I mean, I think that you got moments where him and Rudy aren't on the floor together where he needs to assume that role. He need like this is our
I think
lineup.
Minnesota
This
has
is
a
your
good lineup. I just think that you, I think they have a good lineup. I just don't know if everybody knows their role. I
yeah.
think it might be a situation where Anthony Edwards is your new 26 point a night guy.
Yeah, he's your D Wade type dude.
Call Anthony Towns your Chris Bosh. You're 18-8. Gobert, you're my
I
rebound
mean,
and defend guy.
to be fair, Carl did miss a lot of the season.
Not just like if you just look at the trajectory, because if you think about, we'll use the Miami Heatles as an example. You have your young star who plays with absolute confidence, Edwards, getting to the rim, dunking on people. I think he's like 6'6", 6'7", something around that size. So now your second best scorer is Karl Anthony Towns. All right, you might not give me D Wade 20, 21 points, but if you can, that works. But get your 20, 21 points. Don't be upset that it's not 27. Minnesota, pay him like he's getting you 27. Pay Anthony Edwards like he's getting you 30. Keep Gobert, keep your court. The problem is a lot of these teams, they're going to blow it up because the coach can't tell Karl Anthony Towns, listen, Chris Bosh has 4 NBA Finals appearances and 2 rings, and he went to the Hall of Fame because he went from Toronto, where he's getting 27 and 12, to Miami, where he's getting 18 and 9. Kevin Love's got a ring, 4 NBA Finals appearances, because he went from 26 and 15 in Minnesota down to Miami. So it's like you don't have to trade teams; you can just change your role and still be impactful. I think Karl
Right.
Anthony Towns, yo, if you hot, you could explode for 40. Go ahead, but we're gonna run it with Anthony Edwards as our guy.
Right.
And you saw what happened when he went off as a guy. He dropped 40, over 40 the other night, and then granted last night in a win, a little over 30. But he took the big three that put them up 4 in overtime versus taking a 2. He was like, ride the dime. I'm gonna take this 3 and we're gonna go up 4.
Right.
That's ballsy for a young guy to do.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't know. Like, what's ballsy is the NBA thinking we're stupid. So I talked about how in my opinion, I felt that if Draymond didn't get ejected from game two against Sacramento, I felt like maybe there was suspension. His actions would have warranted a suspension. But since he got ejected, I didn't feel like he should have got suspended. So it ends up that he got ejected and suspended. Meanwhile, I just seen Joel Embiid out here try to kick somebody in the nuts and I guess not
with a
get
size
suspended.
18, 19 shoe,
Yeah, and I guess
a
not get
white one at
suspended,
that.
because it didn't land, or like then I saw James Harden get ejected for making a move. He had the ball and he was trying to make his move and elbowed somebody in the junk, and then Dylan Brooks with the swipe at LeBron trying to get the ball ends
He
up
got
hitting
crossed
LeBron.
over and got crossed over and
And
swiped at the ball.
I don't think that Harden should have got suspended. I don't think that Dylan should have got suspended. I just want to know why didn't they get suspended if Draymond got suspended, and I want to know why Embiid didn't get suspended because his ass should have been suspended. Now, granted, he got his own karma because they said he might not be around for the start of the next series.
He kept falling on the ground. He
And
fell on the ground. Like one time he fell like this.
Jimmy, hold on real quick. Jimmy Butler with 41, and Miami's cut it down to a 5-point game. So we got 101-96 with about 4:15 left. Jimmy Butler, like I said,
That's not a
41
foul.
points.
That is not a
And
foul.
then Giannis has 23, 10, and 11, but go ahead. So, and
Yeah.
B try to kick him with the size 18 shoe.
Embiid tried to kick him. He missed, but the fact that he tried to kick him should have gotten him a flagrant one, if not a flagrant two. And
Well, I think
then
they did give him a flagrant one.
I don't think they gave him. I don't think they gave him that. I think the report was there was going to be no further review. I think they were. I think they were. Someone was saying they should have reduced James Harden's to a flagrant one, and then increase Embiid's into a flagrant two for the attempted kick. And then we're going to talk about the goaltending.
Well,
So it's like that
I'm
doesn't happen. Ooh,
I'm fine with Embiid getting a flagrant two, but I'm not fine with Harden getting a flagrant at all.
you can go flagrant. You go flagrant one because it for some reason they felt to look unnatural movement.
I mean,
I didn't think flagrant two. He had the ball in his right hand. He was fending the defender off with his elbow, like so. He had the ball
which
here, so he
every
went to
NBA player
dribble.
does.
So he went to dribble with the right hand, and when he went to dribble with the right hand, the left hand swung. Because I don't know if he was going to shoot or whatever what he's going to do after that. But when he went with the right hand, the left hand swung. So he hit him. But unless you're looking at the target that you're trying to hit, then I don't think you hit a man that's nuts on purpose because yours are exposed. It's not like they're out there wearing cups. So I'm not gonna go out there as an NBA player and hit a dude in the nuts on purpose as if it can't happen to me this game or another game. It just doesn't seem like the move you would want to use while dribbling the ball, trying to set up your step back or whatever move that James Harden's been using for years.
Right.
Embiid was on the floor and kicked upwards. There's no need for him to kick at all. Like that wasn't involved in the play. It wasn't like he fell down and he was fighting for the ball or whatever the case may be. He literally was no reason for him to kick up at all.
And we got a tied game in Miami, folks.
Killing me. I'm behind you.
Or actually, it's a 1-point game. Sorry, 1-point game. I guess it was a two. But there's 3:25 left. Jimmy Butler for the lead, and there's the dunk. 102 to 101 with about 3:15 left, 3:17 left, and we got a timeout. They need a TO, baby.
Miami is about to really put the number one seed out. I can't handle it. I
All
can't
right,
handle it, Giannis. But
yeah,
yeah, back to the suspension. So he deliberately made an attempt to kick this man in his junk or kick him somewhere. Either he went to kick him in his stomach or he went to kick him in his nuts. But he definitely didn't try to kick him in the back of his inner thigh. Like that wasn't the target
right,
region in
right.
that scenario. Because no one's like, damn, that dude kicked me in the thigh. That really hurts. No. He tried to kick him in his nuts. It just didn't work out. They didn't suspend him. But with Dylan Brooks, and him getting kicked out of the game, and we'll see him later, see if he does the same thing. Is like, did he get suspended because Did he get kicked out of the game because Harden got kicked out? Did he get kicked out of the game, like you said, because he hit LeBron James? Did he get kicked out because he had the press conference where he was like, I don't respect him unless he gives me 40? Did he do what I felt Draymond did, as far as you're getting your flagrant one reviewed, but yet you're over there riling the audience up while they're reviewing whether or not, so you look like you don't give a shit what kind of call you get, because you're over there like you just stomped on a dude, and now you're over here riling the crowd up. Dylan Brooks was a little reverse. He was talking about LeBron. He's old. I don't respect nobody. Blah blah blah. And then you go out and hit him below the belt. Did the referees think that, yeah, okay, this dude's gonna make this game get out of control? Do we just get rid of him?
Right.
You know,
And I
because
can understand that.
If Tyus Jones is Dennis Schroeder, I don't know if he gets kicked out of the game.
Right.
If Mike Conley hits Rui Hachimura on a rebound, I don't know if Conley's getting kicked out of the game. I don't know if Hachimura is getting kicked out of the game if he hits Conley. I mean, so it's like, that's the part that the NBA's they put themselves in this position to where it maybe it's a good thing because they're kicking guys out of the game, and we're talking about, don't say anything because I'm ahead of you.
No, I
We're
didn't say.
talking
I'm just.
we're talking about it now, and everyone's all over the playoffs. Tonight is 2 games. Tomorrow is 3 games. Um, so it's like they're all over the place.
Yeah, and that's why, like with the Dylan Brooks thing, like I didn't think it was purposeful per se, but I like your point. Like did they, by ejecting him, did they feel like they were de-escalating some things? Because I remember I was talking to somebody, and they had brought up to me like, "Yo, before this Memphis Lakers series is over, I think somebody's going to throw a punch." And we almost got there with Rui, but I don't know. Like, I don't think we're there per se. I think LeBron is smart enough to know that Dylan Brooks is just trying to possibly get into his head or get into the team's head, because even if it's not effective on LeBron per se, there could be somebody that feels like they have to defend their teammate. Like, I'm a
Like I said,
lesser. Yeah,
Rui almost got himself in trouble. Like I said, when he was making contact with the ref, trying to get the old
right.
boy.
Right. And now,
I
speaking of
think, like
which,
I said, I've said this before. Empty wagon makes the most noise. I think LeBron and the veterans, because some of those guys won championships on that team. Some of these guys have championship pedigree. They have, great coaches, so forth and so on. I think they know that the Memphis players are just being antagonistic because there's no real beef. It's not as if they have a couple of years. If it was a Golden State series where a couple of those guys were on teams that LeBron was on and put them out, like the Clay's in the press conference, or Draymond, but Draymond's his buddy now. They're all business partners. I don't think you can get that same
disgusting.
energy. Yeah, it is what it is.
But,
Generational wealth, that's our new thing. But Kyle Lowry just threw the ball out of bounds. Don't say nothing now.
but yeah,
So
that's yeah. But I was going to mention, because you brought up Rui. So we had DeJounte Murray of the Hawks get a suspension for running up on a ref. At first, I thought he headbutted the ref, but I guess it looked like he was trying to get in the ref's face and say something. And I had mentioned in the same game, Jason Tatum, after a foul, was walking to the free throw line, and I think the ref stepped in the way on some calm down. Like, I don't know if he thought Jason Tatum was going to react to the foul or what, but Jason Tatum kind of like shoved the ref and made his way to the free throw line.
I
He
don't
didn't
have
do nothing.
I don't have the highlight, but like, did he like touch the ref and
So he was walking.
communicate
So he was
like,
walking
I'm
through.
good? No,
He
no,
was
no, I'm
walking.
good. I'm
So he
good.
was walking through. So he was walking through. The ref was like, like came like this, and he kind of like did like this and pushed the ref. It wasn't a hard push. It wasn't like a get out of my way. It was just kind of like a, go over here. It's okay. But then he just went straight to the free throw line and did his thing. But I just
Yeah, I
thought
saw
that
the Murray thing.
that was just ignorant.
He walked over to the ref and bumped him
You know
because
what
he
you
could
know what
have
he
said
did.
whatever he wanted to say.
You know what DeJounte Murray did. He did what everybody thought Angel Reese did. He just ran up on the ref from the other side of the court and got all up in his face. And that's the way they made it sound like Angel Reese did. Like
Yeah, his neck. You know how when someone says like "fuck you, you're a bitch," like he did, like it, like his
yeah,
neck
yeah, yeah.
said like he called the ref out of his name and then bumped him. Where
Well, the
he could
ref
have
looked
just
at
said
him
it.
like he was like the ref looked at him like say that shit again.
He was like, "This ain't what you want, play. I take jujitsu." Like, he kind of had that look on his face.
We got a game here, folks. I ain't gonna spoil it, but we got a game
Yeah,
here. Go ahead.
yeah. So, but once again, we all know after the game, man, just let it go. Just let it go. Boston was gonna beat you no matter what. Atlanta, you had a very limited shot of winning the series. This dude's killing me.
Yo,
Yeah,
hold on.
yeah, no, we
I
talk
gotta
about the
spoil it. I
series.
gotta spoil it real quick.
No,
I
no,
gotta
no, no.
spoil it.
I'm watching. I'm watching. I'm
No, I'm
watching.
not gonna
I'm
say nothing
watching.
about the score or nothing. I just gotta say it. Jimmy Butler got 52 points, y'all.
Well, I know the score. I'm watching the game.
No, I ain't talking about the score. I'm just telling you what Jimmy Butler did.
Well, I know he had 49 before you said that. That's what I knew when the missed jump shot went up. This dude is different, man. He gonna put
Ooh.
minutes. He can't put Milwaukee out again. Giannis go retire. They
You
lost
know,
to Atlanta in the play-in, right?
yes, at home. but but yeah, so I felt like Embiid should have been suspended because the intent was there. Like I mentioned last week,
We are
I'm not
so
the
distracted because
I'm
this
not
is
the
the
type. No,
NBA
you're
playoffs,
distracted.
dude.
I'm back on task here. I'm
I'm
not the type of
distracted.
dude. I'm not the type of dude that waits to see what the reaction is. Like, oh, the victim, got a broken jaw, so therefore we have to suspend the person that threw the punch. I'm the type of person that says if the punch is wrong, you suspend for the punch in the first place. You can always add on. Like if you want to
Yeah,
add on
but
insult to injury.
in a legal sense, there's a difference. So, like, if I punch you in a one-on-one fight and I don't draw any blood, it's not the same as if I
Right, right.
cut
But if
you.
you punch me
If
and I
I
don't
punch you and you draw blood, now it's maiming. So
no,
now
I
I get
get
the
it. But
assault
but
and
but if you
battery,
punch me, but
the
if you punch
maiming.
somebody, and they don't retaliate, it's still assault. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
but if
Like
I throw a punch at you, then you can't like okay, yeah, it technically is assault because you threaten that person with the punch. But if once the facts come out, it's like, okay, do you really deserve 100 hours of community service for throwing
no,
a punch?
no. But
But
there's other things.
you'll get 100 if you punch
Uh,
someone and break
so
their jaw.
so like I heard somebody on the radio, last week they mentioned that if Embiid would have landed the shot and Claxton would have fell on the floor, did the Demontes Sabonis thing, then like he thinks that Embiid would have got suspended. My whole thing is the kick itself should have got him suspended. If he did all that other extra stuff that you're talking about that I just brought up,
Yeah.
that's when you can
The
add
kick
a
because
fine. Maybe you add another game or whatever.
the kick is worthy enough for a flagrant two because it had nothing to do with basketball. Like because you're laying on your back. Like
Right.
we could talk about Draymond. Oh my goodness. We could talk about Draymond and his antics with the leg swings and the kicks, or you could talk about Dylan Brooks with the hit and James Harden. But at least that was in the flow of the play, and it could be some gray area. When you're laying on your back and you're upset that some dude just caught like a little tip dunk put back on you, and he's giving you the mean mug and he's antagonizing you, which was a strategy I think they probably absorbed from the Golden State King series,
Right.
and you retaliate, you get in trouble. Like everyone knows, the second person in that situation always gets caught. And it wasn't like we didn't see what was happening. It was a 7 foot tall dude on a basketball floor with white shoes on, kicking another man wearing black shorts. So it was like
Yeah.
you saw it happen. Um, so that's my only piece is that you saw it happen, you didn't do anything about it, but in the same game you kick a guy out for an incidental contact to the groin. So was that to make up for the fact that you didn't do anything about the guy laying on the floor? Maybe they went in at halftime. It was like they got a call from Secaucus, like, yo, y'all should have done something about this. We can't go back retroactively and
Right.
say, hey, the beginning of the first quarter, you should have got rid of Embiid.
Right.
Jimmy Butler out here doing
But
something.
and that's why I say like that's where the confusion sets in for me. Like I said, I don't think that Brooks or Harden should have been suspended, but it just makes me wonder like what does it take to cause a suspension? Because Draymond's was obviously a different situation where I don't know, that was just rare. Like Sabonis had already flopped and jumped on the floor, grabbed Draymond's foot. And somebody had mentioned there was a similar play earlier this year where I think it was Chris Middleton and Dylan Brooks. And the player that was being held just stepped over and just continued to play, but kind of threw his hands up like, yo, y'all see this? So
He could have threw his hands up and got them free throws because that was going to be a
right,
flagrant.
right.
If he doesn't step on Sabonis, that was going to be a flagrant one, free throws and the ball.
Yeah, so I understand why Draymond got suspended. And then of course when they gave their statement, Joe Dumars brought up like his history and all that kind of stuff. But Dylan Brooks has a history. You know what I mean? Like to
I'm
some
just looking at
degree.
this game. I'm listening, but I'm
Yeah,
looking at
yeah,
this
yeah.
game for
Dylan
you.
Brooks has a history to some degree, like maybe not to Draymond's level, but he's working on it. And then that's what I didn't like because now he's trying to come out like, after the game, he was like, I ain't talking. And then he said something along the lines of like, the media has made me a villain or whatever. Like, no.
Even though they call him Dylan the villain, and they did a press junket and a little team thing where he's like, yeah, we call him Dylan the villain, blah blah blah, and he's
Yo,
like, yeah, they call
and
me Dylan the villain, and
yo,
that's what
and
they did at the preseason press junket.
I remember in college, in the NCAA tournament, they were playing against Duke, and he was doing some showboating to the point that like Coach K walked up to him individually after the game and gave him like the act like you've been there before speech. And trust me, Coach K is a villain to me, but most people think of Coach K as this lily clean white picket fence guy or whatever. So when he feels the need to walk up to you and say all that kind of stuff, you already know that like you got
You
something
went
going on.
overboard
Right.
because I've
So
heard some Jason Tatum stories about what Coach K and JJ Redick would say, like what Coach K would say to them in his office, like, do you really want to learn how to play basketball,
but
or you just want to just wear the
this
uniform
is
and impress
this is the
girls?
guy
Like, what?
this is the guy that coaches that was coaching in the best rivalry in college basketball slash probably a top 5 or top 10 rivalry in
In
sports in
sport,
general. You know what I mean? So you could just imagine the things that North Carolina players have said or done over the
dealt
years.
with.
But for him to walk up to you and give you a lecture lets you know that you fucked up, for lack of better words. So like the media did not create Dylan Brooks into what Dylan Brooks is now. He created that even with his stupid, open shirt vest or whatever and his little punk ass necklace, like you just look like a villain. Like you just look like somebody that we don't want to cheer for. We don't like you very much. You know what I mean? The game has a place for Dylan Brooks, so I don't want to hate on him, but he's just not my cup of tea per se. But own it, but own
I
it.
don't mind it. Yeah, I don't mind the obnoxious rocking your shoe, throwing your
Yeah,
side
own
kind
it.
of basketball player. My problem is you you don't have to also have a subsequent seemingly fraudulent persona attached to it. Like
Right.
Draymond Green is
He's
deliberately
just a dickhead.
he's in you all the time. So
Yeah.
his antics on the court are like what they are. They're obnoxious. It's
Right.
calculated. It's deliberate. Everything he does seems to come with some kind of plan associated with it.
Well,
But if
well
you talk to him in the press conference, or you whatever he wears to the arena, he doesn't wear whatever he wears to the arena to attract that attention, to get the ball rolling,
right.
to subsidize his behavior on the
Right.
court. So, like Dennis Rodman was one of those guys that did all this theatrical stuff off the court and then brought onto the court, and it was like, it kind of spilled over.
Right.
Whereas you got a guy like Tayshaun Prince, like he just was all over you on the court. Rasheed Wallace the same way, all over you on the court. But like they didn't go to press conferences with like headbands on that said, F Chicago, and just random, just over the top theatrical
Yeah.
stuff with the hair, and then the Stone
But
Cold Steve
but
Austin
but
thing.
it's just like Oh
That
yeah, that
whole
was pretty
you're
cool. I ain't
like
gonna lie.
yeah, it's like a whole persona you're creating versus allowing your just ability, and you
Well,
could be annoying on the court, but like now we know you're doing it deliberately. So now you're in a situation where it didn't work. And this is the first time on this grand of a stage because you're playing the Lakers. You're playing LeBron
that's
and
what
the
I was going to
Lakers.
say. Just like if the Lakers win this series, and then somebody hypothetically were to say, "So, Ja, you got still good in the West," you just got to eat that. You know what I'm saying? You can't come off
But they
being a
won't
I know, but
because
I'm just saying, but you can't
they
just
set
be
up
a
this
dick and
whole thing.
you can't just be a dick and be like, fuck you, you just gotta eat that one because you said it. You know what I mean? So if Dylan Brooks was the villain, if he got created into this villain that he thinks the media placed him as, then he would have got suspended.
But I don't think the nut shot in and of itself is you should have been suspended for. I think the Draymond piece was you did not have to step on him. The instant, like if you accidentally hit somebody in the head going for a block, it still could be a flagrant two
Right,
because you can wind up to try. Somebody's about to dunk. If give me a powerful dunker, the Aaron Fox is a quick guy who's coming through for a dunk, and he's winding up, and Kevon Looney, you got to wind up to block the dunk, and you hit him in the head. Yeah, it could be a flagrant two. You kicked out, but that doesn't mean you get suspended.
right,
Draymond could have set his foot somewhere else,
right.
or he could have just been trying to get his foot out, or he could have just stopped and looked at
But
the ref like,
that's the
"Yo."
thing with Embiid. He could have not kicked, or he could have not kicked there. Like he could have kicked him in the back of the calf or something. He could have kicked him in his shin or something.
The fact that he attempted to kick him is a flagrant one or two minimum, depends on the severity
Right.
as
But my
their
thing is,
judgment call.
but for me,
The
it's a
fact that he
flagrant
got
two.
nothing is a problem.
But
It's
to
because he
me,
deliberately tried to kick him and got nothing, and
but to
then
me, it's
subsequently
a
doesn't
flagrant
drive
two
another
because
investigation.
to me it's a flagrant two because you aimed there. I don't care whether you landed or not. I know where you were aiming.
The intent was to kick him in his nuts.
Yes. So that to me, that if I'm a ref, that's flagrant two automatic. Get your ass up out of here. And guess what? You're available for the next series. You know what I mean? But that was my takeaway.
I don't believe you should be suspending guys and giving an advantage to another team for 2 games out of a winner needs to win 4 games, and I'm gonna give you an advantage in half of those games. Like I don't think the NBA should be doing that. Like just from a competitive advantage. But if you do something in game, then yeah, you should get. They should take you out. That
Right.
you should be out of the game.
No, I get it. Like it just didn't sit right with me. You know what I mean? That and I didn't want to do the whole like, is this dude the MVP? You know, I didn't want to go there. Like, like he got some rope because he's about to be the MVP or he's like right there. I didn't want to do that thing.
I just think that every call isn't gonna be scrutinized to the level that the Draymond one was. The thing was, everyone initially after he got kicked out of that game, ejected from that game with 7 minutes, 30 seconds left, somewhere around that time, and they lost. We're all like, okay, well, you made your impact. You have shown what you as a league would want to intend. Like the referees put him out, his team lost.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, we're gonna put you at another advantage. You're down 2-0, and now we're gonna sit out your best defender in the heartbeat of your team for the third game, potentially putting you down 3-0. No teams come back from 3-0.
Right.
I think that part is like the NBA should have been like, you know what? I get it. If this was game 48 of the season, Giannis just fell on his back kind of hard, and
Yes.
Miami's up 3
And
1.
we have a final score, ladies and gentlemen, down in Miami, 119 to 114. Jimmy Buckets with 56 points on 18 of 29 from the floor, 15 of 18 from the free throw line. No other Heat scored more than 15 points, which was Bam Adebayo, who went 6 for 16.
This dude really just dropped 56 points.
Yes,
Like,
and he not doing the thing. He not leaning on the table this time. He over there talking to Ali now. And then we got Giannis in his comeback game, 26, 10, and 13. And Brooke Lopez with 36 and 11. 36-11. You know,
I was
Drew.
watching this game. I didn't realize he was getting buckets like that.
Yeah, he was. Drew. I'm sorry. Yeah, Drew Holiday 6 for 19, and here it comes for the first time ever on Sports Reports is ordered. Chris Middle of the Pacton. 4 for 12. So there you go.
Giannis ain't
Miami's
got
up
enough
3-1.
help. He should have left Milwaukee. I'm glad he got his chip though. But
Giannis can't hit the free throw. And then we got, Memphis with an early 4-0 lead on the Lakers. So with that being said, Raph, you remember growing up, and Living Color was one of my favorite shows. And you had the lady that used to sit up on the rooftop, and I ain't the one to gossip, so you ain't heard it from me. But
I remember that.
we're in that time. I ain't the one to gossip, but there's some juicy NFL draft rumors out there. So, what's something that you've heard, Raph?
I heard that CJ Stroud got an 18 on the test.
I heard that CJ Stroud turned down the Mannings, like he was supposed to go to their camp, and then he stood them up and didn't show up. And Memphis is up 6-0 now. But go ahead.
I'm still trying to get the stream, but as
Brady Quinn went on these airwaves and told everybody how CJ Stroud was dissing and spitting in the face of NFL royalty. Got called out by Ryan Clark and RG3. So people just talking. They not sourcing no more. They just talking.
That's it. That's all they're doing.
But you know what I heard?
Memphis up 6-0 still.
Yeah, you know what I heard? I heard that the Washington Commanders
are going to get Lamar.
May pick up Hendon Hooker on day 2 of the draft. But then I also heard at the same time that the Texans may trade the number 33 and 65th draft pick to Minnesota so that they can draft Hendon Hooker at number 23.
24. Oh.
Yeah. So word is that the
Texans, Houston?
Yeah. So the word is
they got Houston passed on CJ Stroud because of this
they got Houston taking this draft that I saw. This was on, hold on, give me a second here. That trade was on sportsnot.com by Matt Johnson. But the earlier thing that I had heard was that the Texans might take Will Anderson. That was from Aaron Becker of Yardbarker. They might take Will Anderson and then get the quarterback later.
The rumor I heard, because it's my team and I get the followings, that the Falcons were going to take potentially Bijan out of Texas at 8.
Woo!
One thing. Then it was another one saying that they could potentially get the corner. Will Levis going 3rd. I've heard that. So the top 3 quarterbacks they got. Who was trading up? What was the rumor? Was it Tennessee? Tennessee trading up to 3 and taking Levis. Indianapolis trading up to 3 and taking Richardson. CJ Stroud falling to 11.
I heard
and someone trading up from I think the Titans trading up to 11 to take him. I heard that. I heard a rumor that Will Levis went to the Patriot facility. I think the Patriots are sitting at like 16. And they were gonna potentially trade up if he doesn't go in the top 10. But if Stroud doesn't go in the top 10, the Patriots going to trade up to 11 to get Will Levis when they can just get CJ Stroud. So I heard tons of rumors. The consensus is Will Anderson is the best player in the draft. But Bryce Young is going to Carolina because he canceled all of his meetings. There's normally a sign that he's going to be number 1. But he got a 98 on his test, and CJ Stroud got an 18. So it's just so many rumors, so much hearsay. I'm here for all of it.
So one of the craziest things I heard, yeah, you see Dylan Brooks, right? So one of the craziest things I heard was from Cole Sullivan at Yardbarker. that Seattle might try to make a trade for Josh Jacobs to have the Josh Jacobs Kenneth Walker combination in the backfield. That one sounds stupid to me.
Yeah, that sounds dumb.
You know what I mean? Because there is a such thing as too much, and I don't think Walker coming off of the rookie season that he had is
Unless you
necessarily.
plan on running the ball 38 times a game, having two of those kind of running backs is like, unless you literally plan on having of your 67 to 72 plays, 30 of 35 of them being run plays. I don't see the point of having those two similar backs. Just take the team you have, make it work.
Yep. So then I heard that the Chargers, the Jets, and the Cowboys may be interested. Now, this is obviously going to be later in the draft, but they may be interested in Max Dugan out of TCU.
Have you seen him throw the ball?
Yes, and I
Looks
don't
like a
like it.
right-handed Tebow.
I don't like it. Yeah, I think he's a gamer. Just like Tebow, right? He's one of.
He's going to be a great high school football coach that could tell a story about how he was in the national championship game and they gave up 10 touchdowns. But other than that, like he's like everybody's not NFL quarterback. Stenson Bennett get too drunk. Like he's gonna get his little check and go right to Vegas. Ryan, like, a la Ryan Leaf.
Yeah.
Uh, what's a good rumor? I got rumors that Anthony Richardson was going number one.
Oh yeah, I've been hearing that for about a month now. I just don't
He was
believe it.
going number one because my thing is like as of watching Austin Reeves
I think he's
right
just too
now.
much. I think he's just too much of a project for number
It
one.
just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense for anybody other than
It's got to be Stroud or Young.
Will Anderson going number one.
Yeah.
None of these quarterbacks to me. Bryce Young is a good quarterback. He played a good couple of years, Heisman Trophy winner out of Alabama. But the question marks about his size
Uh huh.
cannot be remedied. He can't make you feel better about his size because unless he has another 20 post 22-year-old growth spurt, which I don't think scientifically happens a lot in humans, uh, that's unlikely. Because
Yeah.
even if he puts on 20 pounds, he's still 5'11".
Right.
So 5'11", 224. Okay, cool. So he's Russell Wilson. And we kind of seen how that worked out. But Russell Wilson's been a thick body quarterback the whole time. He didn't come in 200 pounds and have to put on 15 or 20 pounds. Like he just was like that. Same thing with like a guy like Baker Mayfield. Drew Brees wasn't a big body, but he just was able to manipulate the pocket. But he was one of one. Michael Vick was 6'1", 210, 215, listed at 6'1", but he
Yeah.
also ran like a 4.3 40. And
Yeah.
he had an offense that allowed for that kind of spread thing. But even he missed a lot of games with broken body parts, twisted ankles, hamstring pulls, and it ultimately like slowed down his career more than a prison term did. Because his prison term is in his prime. But basically got 2 years where he didn't get tackled. He was
Right.
playing football in prison with all the inmates, and he was quarterback for both sides, obviously. Like who's gonna challenge him?
Mm-hmm.
So CJ Stroud, say he got an 18 on his test, really. Okay, cool. If you look at his tape in excuse me, I got the hiccups in college, did the tape change? Because Dan Orlovsky said something. He was on whose show was he on? He was on a pod. I think he was on a podcast with I think he was on Pat McAfee. And he said that Levis jumped Richardson based off the tape. So I'm like, okay, did the tape change? Like if you looked at the tape in the first week of March, or you looked at the tape the week of the Super Bowl before the combine, before anybody rise up, and Richardson was sixth or seventh quarterback, maybe. And then you saw the combine, and then you try to match it to the tape, you're fooling yourself because the combine, he's running around in shorts. You know, at his pro day, he hit the ceiling of the indoor facility. What does that show? That he has a strong arm or that he's not accurate? or both.
Does it show he should be playing receiver?
It shows that it's like you're not accurate. You're just out here, running through this script, and it's cool. I get it. You're not supposed to be perfect. Will Levis had 19 touchdowns and 12 picks, a lot of turnovers, not good throws. What on his film changed that put him above after Anthony Richardson?
Well, I told you nothing on his film changed. What changed was Peyton Manning put the blessing out there. You know what I'm saying? And once you got the Manning blessing, you are a made man.
Cool. The man is not going to cut me 24 million of his guaranteed 30 million I got to give him if I draft him in the top three
This
or
is
four.
true. This is
So
true.
Peyton and Eli can be in the basement every Monday night with Travis Kelsey and Dana White and Michael Jordan, all these guys coming in on Zoom and Kevin Hart cracking jokes. But if Will Levis goes out there and I trade up from 3 to 4 to get him, and on the first play of his career he throw a pick like Sam Darnold, now I'm stuck.
You ever heard a rumor that pissed you off?
I don't like right now. I know it's all conjecture. I know it's all smoke and mirrors. My thing is like the pundits who are doing the analysis, what they're coming up with pisses me off the most. It's not even a
Yeah,
get off my chest kind of thing, but it's like I said, what about the film that CJ Stroud gave you makes you think he should go 11 versus
yeah,
what Anthony Richardson gave you that says he should go 1, 2, or 3?
right.
With people trading up from their position to get him. So giving up draft capital to get him, giving up draft capital in Carolina to get Bryce Young, to include a wide receiver. They probably could have given up one of their running backs in Chicago would have taken that
Yeah,
deal.
it'd probably be nice for a young receiver to have DJ Moore.
Yeah, for him to look up, be like two down there somewhere, like he did against when PJ Walker threw the should have been a game winning touchdown, but the game tying touchdown against Atlanta with no time left. It was like, well, Moore's down there somewhere. I'm just gonna let it fly. Like Bryce Young doesn't have that now.
Well, I gotta tell you about the rumor that got me pissed off.
Let's hear it.
So I mentioned Aaron Becker earlier. Obviously, I don't know Aaron Becker. I'm not very familiar with his work, but he brought up, why don't the Ravens try to get Malik Cunningham, quarterback from Louisville, who broke Lamar Jackson's total touchdown record at Louisville? And I don't know if that was a troll attempt or because it worked because I got pissed off. So if he was trying to troll, it worked. But I just thought that was lazy. He just happened to go to the same school as Lamar. He broke Lamar's TD record. So I guess like that could be cute from a petty standpoint. But
I mean, you're
yeah,
already being petty. Might as well go full petty LaBelle.
yeah, there you go. But I just thought that was just one of those things to you just throw that in there to bring interest to your story, maybe, like
And I think a lot of it is because, for instance, if you are a reporter and the equipment guy tells you that he saw Will Levis talking to Mike Vrabel in the hallway and they seem to be getting along,
right,
and you write a story that says, hey, I got a source that says Vrabel really likes Will Levis. Is it over for Tannehill? That's according to the parameters established by the sports media world. That's sufficient enough sourcing to substantiate your story. Granted, there's
right.
still real facts in it. It's just that they shook hands in the hallway, or Mike Vrabel was really impressed with
I hate the NBA so
Levis's
much
arm.
sometimes. I hate the NBA so much sometimes. I hate when dudes go to the hole, throw their arms up, and they're like, "Hey!" and the ref blows the whistle. Like you ain't
Yeah,
see no foul right there,
I've
you know.
never done that. All my years of playing basketball, just throw my hands up.
But
LeBron was already on the bench.
well, they just rest, just rest. No fouls or anything like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I just thought that was one of those things. Then I heard, since you brought up CJ Stroud, this one was from Matt Johnson again from Sportsnot. CJ Stroud to the Lions and then the Lions picking up Quentin Johnson later in the first round to replace Jameson Williams, who was a dumbass and just got suspended.
Come on, man. How that's gonna happen?
I don't know. It don't make sense to me, but I guess that's why these are rumors. Like
What did Jared
it's a
Goff not do? Like what did Jared
well,
Goff
Jared.
season say? We need to replace this guy.
Well, we talk about this all the time. Jared Goff is a victim of the dreaded narrative. You know what I mean? Like he didn't win a Super Bowl with the Rams with Sean McVay. They got rid of him. Stafford came in. They won a Super Bowl. So now he's been.
Stafford Stafford was throwing them softballs all playoff long. He threw 2 picks in the Super Bowl and got bailed out by a
I
bad
know, but it's all about
holding
wins and
call.
losses. It's
I
all
mean, I
about
want
wins and losses.
$750 in the Super Bowl squares when they won, but still,
It's
I got
all
to be
about wins
honest.
and losses. But like I said, it's narrative. Remember we talked about Steph the other day. Where we were talking about how or people have like this on I don't know what the word is, but basically they have this narrative of him not being a playoff performer or not being a finals performer because like they said
He doesn't
Dellavedova
have
shut
any
him
clutch
down for a
shots.
game.
Yeah, he
Well, it's
doesn't
not
have
even
any
that.
clutch
But
shots.
but like that first finals against Cleveland, there was the Dellavedova game, where he had to go to the hospital because he was so tired from chasing Steph around,
Yeah,
and everybody said,
an athlete in his prime nearly died from chasing this guy around.
yeah,
So he has the stuff's the star. He just doesn't have any clutch moments.
and everybody said that like Steph had this like bad game, so that turned into Steph can't perform in the finals, which turned into Iguodala won Finals MVP, which turned into Steph just won his first Finals MVP this past season. So that is narrative, So Jared Goff has that narrative because McVay is Das Wonder Kid of offenses, and they
Yeah,
didn't win
but
a
as
Super
far as
Bowl.
Jared Goff's performance, if you look at the numbers, were in line with your other top quarterbacks in NFC. You
Oh,
have
I
the
agree.
Lions. They're on the verge of like they're on the verge of turning a corner in a division that just lost Rodgers because we'll talk about
Might lose
our
Kirk
little
Cousins,
quick hits. Kirk Cousins is people are falling out of love with him,
except for
even though
me.
I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback. I think I take him over Lamar Jackson.
You know
However,
what I always say: KC8 greater than RG3.
so then you have Justin Fields, and yes, they have some draft capital in Chicago, but this is probably his first year with the real wide receiver core. Now we got to
Right.
see if the coach Matt Eberflus, do you have a plan? Like, is your offensive structure built for Claypool, Moore, and Mooney to shine with the arm talent of Justin Fields? So Jared Goff is in the position of where if they don't even look at quarterbacks, he knows that the team has ultimate confidence in him. They can bolster their potential NFC North championship run because, contrary to popular belief, everyone talks about a Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. Every team's primary milestone is to win their division. Winning your division, you are guaranteed at least one home playoff game. So that's your like because people say we want to make the playoffs. Well, you can make the playoffs a la the Chargers and still have to travel to Florida for your playoff game. So winning your division guarantees you get a home playoff game. Granted, if you get number one overall seed, you get a bye, but not having to travel in an intense week where everyone has to be focused. So the Detroit Lions are in prime position to win their division without messing with the psyche of your quarterback. If you got Chase Daniel still up there as the backup, or Hoyer or Mike Glennon with the neck, get you one of those guys in there as a backup. And if Goff goes down, you got a capable backup, or you get a 6th-round quarterback or something like that. You don't trade up and get a guy, and as soon as you go 1 and 2, or Jared Goff has a bad half, and people calling for C.J. Stroud, and then you throw him in there, it doesn't work. You got to take him out, a la what they did with Tua and Fitzpatrick. It's like it doesn't work. So the Lion, that rumor that CJ Stroud is going to fall to the Lions. If I'm the Lions and CJ Stroud's available in my spot, I'm on the phone.
Everybody.
Yo, Tennessee, what you need?
I might even
Trying to
call
get the Vic-
Baltimore, like, yo, y'all gonna sign Lamar or what?
Hell,
Like,
I might call the Rams and say like, yo, y'all trying to come off Aaron Donald?
yeah, you need something for the future.
Come on, send Aaron this way or whatever. I mean, like, granted, that's a ridiculous
Hey,
point.
call Tampa. Call Tampa. Devin White. He asked
Yeah,
for a trade.
Devin White. Can I get a Eagles? Who you got?
Yep.
Who you
Yep.
got
And
available? I know you
so
like
so
signing linebackers.
so
Go ahead.
speaking of the Eagles, that was another funny rumor was that allegedly so there's this thing we talk about the devaluing of the running back. And allegedly you don't draft running backs in the first 10 no more, all that stuff like that. So the word on the street is NFL teams everywhere are panicking at the thought of the Eagles taking B. John Robinson. But what I thought was funny was I got to read this one because I had to write this one down because I wasn't going to remember all this.
All
But
right.
so Dalvin Cook is projected to cost about 14.1 million against the cap this season.
Okay.
If they
I'm
if
writing
they,
this down.
yeah, so 14.1 million against the cap. If they release him, they could save about 5.9 million. Or if they trade him before June 1st, they can save 7.9 million. And the team in mind is the Cincinnati Bengals because they may need to replace Joe Mixon. So, if that were to happen, if Cincinnati were to get their hands on Dalvin Cook, then I would probably pretty much say, yo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, AFC Championship game part two, run it back.
Yeah, I mean that's easy to say, but they did lose
That's why I
Jesse
said
Bates to Atlanta.
it. Yeah.
It's easy to say. Then you just have like I think Buffalo is still good. I think the Derrick Henry. I saw a rumor Derrick Henry on draft day to the Eagles.
Uh-huh.
I saw that move potentially. I think that's a good move. I still think Buffalo should be in there with a fourth round pick dangling at Tennessee. Like, listen, we'll give you a third and a fourth for Derrick Henry. Because whatever player you get in the third round in this draft, historically, you can get an undrafted player of equal talent.
Yeah.
It's the Hall of Fame is probably 340 or 350 guys. I think nearly half of them are late round undrafted players historically. So my third round linebacker I get out of Oregon State and the undrafted guy I get out of San Diego State. If you grade them out in practice on a scale of 1 to 100, I'm probably going to get 60 to 65 out of both of them.
Right.
So I can take that third round pick, send it to like Buffalo could send a third and a sixth to Tennessee this year, maybe a fourth next year, and get Derrick Henry.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, your third, fourth, and sixth round picks are going to be pretty much on par with because you're gonna get a special teams player. You have all the wide receivers you need. Defensively, you're solid. You got Von Miller coming back. You're locked in at quarterback. Your offensive line solid. You're locked in at tight end. It's like you don't even really need to pay attention to the draft because you got agents that are going to get you linebackers. They're going to get you special teams guys in these late five, six, seventh undrafted rounds.
Yeah.
So I say, listen, I'm going to take these three assets 2023 draft and 2024, send it to Tennessee, shoot me Derrick Henry, let's see what's popping.
Oh my God. This- Oh, sorry. I just the whole little celebration thing, like the
Oh, the arm thing?
yeah. Why ain't nobody original? Like, why everybody just doing the same damn thing? Like,
Oh, so who did it? Is it Schroeder? Let's
no,
see.
LeBron did it.
LeBron
But
do it? Ooh.
no, that's like I don't know where this started, but my son, he got the high school basketball thing going on. He plays some AAU, and like literally, like every team in his league when they hit a three, everybody just goes blues. It's just like y'all so corny, man. Like you just like somebody get your own shit. Like just be original. Like just
Listen, man. Long as it's authentic to you.
nah,
Hold
that
on one
shit ain't
second.
authentic
I'm
to
watching.
nobody. That
Is he
shit
gonna
ain't
do it
authentic.
again? Come on, LeBron.
That shit ain't authentic to nobody. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's about that time of the show. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know who going first, but it's time to get something off our chest. So who going first?
You got it, man. I've been feeling pretty good about sports.
All right.
I have my complaints, but nothing crazy.
Oh, so I can have another twofer?
Yo, go for it.
All right. Yeah. All right. So I got two
Prepare for
getting off
another
my
two
chest.
five moment.
Yes, but one I'm gonna hit y'all ill this time. One good and one bad. So you know what I'm saying, we're gonna start off good because I want to end with the bad. You know what I'm saying? So the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Shout out to
16
Major League Baseball. Y'all exciting this year. We like it.
yo, 16-7. You know, 7 straight wins. Sole possession of first place entering today. So, ref, I had to look back at this, right? Because we've been talking about the Pirates, and we were talking about like, when's the last time the Pirates were even good? So they
Yeah.
actually made the playoffs 3 consecutive seasons, 2013, 14, and 15, right? But as I was digging, it got real ugly because out of the 134 seasons of the Pittsburgh Pirates, they've made the playoffs 17 times. So when they did the restructure of the
117 times they didn't make the playoffs. I know baseball is tough to get in, but 117 times. Shout out to
yeah,
Pittsburgh, man, turning it
so
around.
So of course they did the restructures of the divisions in 1994. So the Pittsburgh Pirates have never won the NL Central.
It's 20 years.
That's like 30
That's
actually.
30
Like
years.
next
Oh
year,
no,
yeah.
I'm so old.
So
That's 30 years.
yeah. So their last division title, just in case you were wondering, was 1992
And they
when they
played the
were
Braves
when
in
they
the
were still in the
playoffs.
NL East. They were still in the NL East at the time. So like I said, they haven't made the playoffs since 2015.
That's when
So
Sid Bream scored from like second.
So unfortunately, Javante Tank Davis is the only thing that I get to brag about from Baltimore these days because the Pirates last won the World Series in 1979 by beating my Orioles.
Shout out to Camden Yards.
So I know that this may not last, but while it's here, I'm gonna appreciate the Pirates, because they don't play in New York, they don't play in LA, blah blah blah. It's still a good story. And by
It's
the
a dope
way,
city. I'm telling you, I'm a hype it every time. It's a dope city. I'll
you
say
know,
check it out.
and how disrespectful am I that I did my get it off my chest about the Pittsburgh Pirates when the Tampa Bay Rays are 19-3. How about that?
They'll be all right. They've been good for a while.
All right, so my second get it off my chest. So Colorado had their spring football game the other day. They had fans there to the tune of over 47,000 people. So just like Columbus, people in Boulder don't have a life, but you can even get high in Boulder. But anyway, so Colorado's two leading receivers decided that they were going to leave and join the transfer portal after the spring game. One of those receivers, hold on, give me a second. I'm scrolling here because I always mess up his name and I want to get his name right. But overall, 13 players have entered the portal, this weekend from Colorado. So, how yucky and ignorant is that, first of all? But here we go. Montana Lemonius Craig. He was their leading receiver in 2022. And in the spring game this weekend,
That is the
he
blackest name I've ever heard. That's
he
black
had
and Draymond Green.
he had 168 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns in the game. So what caught my attention about that was not that these players decided to leave Colorado. It was not that this player dominated the spring game and then decided to leave Colorado. It was the response of one. All right, help me out here, ref. Shadeur
Shadeur Sanders.
Sanders, Deion's son, the star quarterback who came from Jackson State with him and apparently is a Heisman candidate already. I don't know how, but there you go. His
Louis
response to
Luggage.
this his response to this was, some people just got a crookedness about them. And I'm like, hold up. Your daddy is the biggest con man there is, first of all. And I don't even
Shout out
mean
to my
that.
favorite player.
Yeah, I don't even mean that in a negative way, but it just is what it is. You know what I mean? Who showed up in Boulder and Colorado didn't even have his money yet. And he went up in the room and told everybody, y'all need to hit the portal because I'm bringing my Louis with me.
I'm bringing my luggage in his Louis. Go ahead, hop up in the portal.
Now these dudes are hopping up in the portal. Ain't nothing crooked about it. This is the game. This is what your daddy created. This is what your daddy said. Now, the only reason you upset is because the leading receiver is leaving, and one of the top running backs is leaving, and y'all done lost about, I think it was 7 offensive linemen and 8 defensive linemen that I saw. So that's why you're upset, because y'all losing depth and y'all losing pieces. Because granted, the team went 1-11 last year, but hey, that's still experience, So Shadeur, focus on who's there, and tell your daddy to not write those checks with his mouth that his ass can't cash.
Hey, he better go. He better go at least 8-4 this year.
Better at least go 8-4. I got them at 5-7, but we'll see what happens. And we'll get back into these college football previews as we get closer to June, July, and all that. We'll get you some division winners, but that just stood out to me. It was a slow news week as far as things that pissed me off, and we already talked about a lot of things that pissed me off. So I just figured, I just top it off with one
Yeah,
thing.
the NBA playoffs are they're intriguing. I got a text from my sports advisor, my pops, and he's like, "What's up with all these guys, not playing to getting injured?" I was like, "A lot of these guys are probably like, yo, I got my money, and we're not gonna win." Like, is Kawhi like I don't want to talk about someone's injuries, but if Kawhi is say he's 70% and it just
Yeah.
hurts, it's not like a strain or it's not a tear. It just hurts. My knee hurts, and I think rest will help me. Um, but he's like, is this team built to go past the Western Conference Finals? No, then why? I
Well,
already got paid. I'm gonna sit.
that's why it was
Like
funny. I was listening to Doc Rivers the other day. He was talking about um, how the Clippers couldn't get along. Back when they had Lob City and everything, they couldn't get along. And then I watched a video with JJ Redick and Jamal Murray, or not Jamal Murray. I'm sorry, Jamal Crawford. They were talking about how, Doc, you were the GM, you were the coach, like you're supposed to manage these personalities. So if we ain't getting along, that's a reflection of you. But then he said something that pissed me off. So I was with him right there because I ain't a big fan of Glenn to begin with. But
yeah,
so I was with him. And then they went on to talk about how Doc didn't believe in them, and like you're our coach, you're supposed to believe in us, and I'm like, yo,
supposed to believe
most
in
of the
yourself.
most of the motivation in sports comes from somebody not believing in you. Like, so if you got it in your own locker room, I would think that would be like the ultimate motivation. But I told you, I was 2'5". I was one of the dudes, one of the few people that never thought that Lob City was a contender anyway. I don't know why people thought this team could win an NBA championship, but they
I
did.
think because if you looked at how they were constructed, they had shooters off the bench, so the sixth man was a scorer. JJ Redick was a scorer. Jamal Crawford was a good scorer. Uh, DeAndre and Blake were athletically gifted enough to be defensively viable, and then Chris Paul is just a good leader.
Yeah, but like,
The
but like
team,
DeAndre Jordan wasn't getting no bucket without a lob, and like Blake Griffin
that's
didn't
the
develop
thing.
that jumper yet. He didn't have that jumper yet.
But I think, like I said, I think athletically they were enough they were enough to deter the other team from getting 20 to 40, 20 to 30 points just defensively, just
And
being
you
there, just being athletic,
and you know
and
who
then
used to own them?
able to get you 25 to 30 points between the two of them on the other end.
And you know who used to own them? The old ass Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies that couldn't score.
Because they just muscled them with Powell's little brother.
Yeah,
and
and Zebo.
Zebo. Somebody
You
showed me
know,
a magazine back in Spain down. I'm like, is this you? I'm like, no, that's Zach Randolph. I am not 6'10".
that's
I'm
hilarious because I always thought you looked like Michael Strahan.
Cap. Cap. I used to get
Hey, don't
these
make me
people
throw a
those.
poll up on Twitter.
Yo, I used to get, like I said, I got Zach Randolph was one when I was slim back in the day, and I see I'm always a hat guy. People were like, "Yo, you look like Fabulous." I'm like, "Don't tell me that." Like that's no, I look like me.
No, I used to have
'Cause
the
I used
worst.
to hang out with a guy who used to tell women he was fabulous. He was light skinned. He didn't look like Fabulous at all.
No,
But he was telling me he looked
I
like
used to have the
Fabulous. And it used to
worst. Like
annoy me when he did it. So when people came up to me and said, "Yo," I'm like, "No, don't lump
I
me in with him."
yeah, I used to have the worst. Like apparently at some point in my life, I went through a phase where I morphed from Scottie Pippen to Nas, and then
I can see Nas.
and then now that I ain't got no damn hair, I've been getting Marcus Houston lately, but I
You
don't know
look
how
like Kenny Smith.
I look like the Jet, bro.
You look like the Jet. All you
No,
gotta do is get up
but
bow
yo,
legged,
but yo,
stand
don't
up
be
bow legged, and fix
hey,
your jerseys.
don't be calling me Marcus Houston though, because I know my wife is younger than me, but she ain't that much damn younger than me.
Yo, you look like the Kenny the Jet Smith. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tag him in Twitter. And you're like, I'm gonna tag this podcast. You just gotta take the hat off and show the head.
No, man, no, man.
If we put that poll up today, I'm telling you,
Come
I'm gonna
on,
put the
Chuck.
poll up. Chuck, yo,
Hey,
I'm telling you.
don't make me get a screen back here. You know what I'm saying? Run up to the screen.
Yo, I'm telling you, all you gotta do is be bow legged when you do it. Just run up there like that.
See, I can't even act that out. Wow, I can't even act that out.
Yo, his bow leggedness is like how you win a championship running like that. Because
Yeah,
I'm from New York, I'm a point guard.
I know. Shout out to Kenny Anderson, my favorite New York point guard.
Shout out to God, Shab God, Sebastian Telfair. Those are my dudes.
Yeah, yeah. I already did that. You always wilding at the end of the episodes, bro.
Yo, listen, everybody has these podcasts, and some people do it on the front end, we do it on the back end.
I
I mean,
know.
like I said,
And by the way, you know, shout out to Matt Barnes, because people be making these predictions. And remember, he told us something, well, not us directly, but, he told America something along the lines of once these details about Ime Udoka come out, he ain't going to never get a head coaching job again. And I am here to let you know that he is the new head coach of the Houston Rockets.
Yo,
so don't get him and James Harden together.
Yeah, don't leave Harden in Philly. Shout out to New York Jets. I'm gonna go check out a couple of games with Aaron Rodgers. Just keep them prices reasonable because.
Hold up. Hold up. I got one more corny thing real quick.
All right.
So if Anthony Davis is street clothes, Kawhi Leonard is loungewear. There you have it.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, shout out. You know where to find us. You know where to follow us. You know where we are. Like I said, we can pull it back up on the screen.
Like us, subscribe, review us. It's free. And you know why you should like us? Because we love you. And we out.
We out, America.
Peace. Yes. Thank you for listening to Sports Reports as Ordered. See you on Thursday.